You're listening to How I Met Your Monster, a podcast that explores the introductions to your favorite movie monsters. My name's Zach.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Casey.
And together we dive into the world of horror to find out how filmmakers have introduced us to our favorite monsters time and time again. This is How I Met Your Monster.
Boss, you opened it. We came.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left.
Explorers in the further regions of experience. Demons to some, angels to others.
Call you Meatloaf! Surprise, Sydney.
Come on, don't say chicken shit.
Welcome to How I Met Your Monster, the show where we discuss the introductions to your favorite movie monsters. Make sure to subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you find your podcast. There's a simple follow button. Just click it. It's either like a plus sign or a check mark maybe, or it might say follow, something along those lines. Just go there, click a bunch of buttons, and hopefully you'll hear the show every 2 weeks. And if you are looking to stay up to date on all your horror news, read Fangoria, because it's the best.
Yeah.
And they even sell really cool t-shirts. I was just looking at their website and it's got
hats.
like just really, really cool designed is the word, t-shirts and hats. Yeah.
And you know what's great about t-shirts? We all wear them.
All of us, we wear them.
I'm wearing one right now.
Me too.
Are you?
Not a Fangoria t-shirt, but it's a t-shirt.
Well, it should be a Fangoria
I'm just saying
t-shirt.
I have the potential to wear a Fangoria t-shirt.
But you know what I was thinking about Fangoria? Just magazines in general. They're just like books, but like floppier.
It's like a floppy book.
It's like a floppy book. But Fangoria, I'm holding my newest edition right now. Like it's not that floppy. Like the pages are nice and thick, and you can like put it on a shelf and collect them.
It's like
collect them. It's
a thick book. If you like your books thick and semi-floppy, like a semi-thick, not too soft,
Like a chode.
a little creepy.
if you want your books to be like a chubby.
Yeah, if you want like a chubby dick magazine that doesn't have penises.
So that's
and
called
instead
porno.
focuses on horror movies.
If you want a
Well,
chubby
this
dick
has
magazine,
monsters
that's
in it,
called
so-
Playgirl, Danny.
It's kind of like Playboy for horror, though, because it is. Well, funny enough, it's funny that we're talking about this because literally 2 days ago, I texted you both that I was very happy that I had the opportunity. I had some time on my hands and I went to this little coffee shop and I was, perusing my Fangoria magazine. And I did for a moment feel like I had porn open because every time I would open to a different page, it was like really graphic.
Some crazy image, yeah.
Yeah, like scenes from horror movies. So I was like, but I also didn't want to draw too much attention to it because it's not like people were just staring at me. And I'm like kind of like covering images
You're so considerate.
casually, like with my elbow and like pretending I'm leaning on it. And I'm like, I don't want them to see what I'm looking at. But it's not that bad. It's just like, it's bad if you don't like gore, but
Yeah.
it was an experience.
Very
Yeah, you don't
considerate.
want like a mom walking by
said-
with like her like 5-year-old daughter and she like looks over and sees someone's decapitated head.
Which is funny because I feel like that's how we all got into horror.
Exactly.
By like accidentally seeing it, like gory movies somewhere.
Yeah.
So maybe I was denying someone a future in horror.
Yeah, my dad thought Children of the Corn was a kid's movie.
See, if he would have read Fangoria, he would have known that it was very much not a kid's movie.
But then I wouldn't be the woman I am today.
Yep.
Oh, destiny.
Oh.
It's all a strange, strange thing. So if you want to know things like if Children of the Corn is a kid's movie, or if you want to see decapitated heads in certain issues, subscribe to Fangoria. And today you can go to shop.fangoria.com/howimetyourmonster. I know that's a lot. Enter promo code How I Met Your Monster at checkout, and you will get 20% off your whole order, even
Amazing.
your subscription
Stop
for
it.
the year.
Amazing.
That's right.
No.
Yeah, I'm not lying.
What is this?
I don't
This is
lie.
How I Met Your This isn't How I Met Your Monster. This is How I Met Your Liar. Because there's no way you're telling me truths right now.
Do you see my pants smoking? Do you see smoke coming out of my
This
pants?
is an incredibly long ad.
I'm not going to lie. I've been staring at your pants for the past 15 minutes. I haven't seen a strand or wisp of smoke. So I guess you're shooting some honest bullets at me, and I can feel them.
How about the new, which is, I'm reading this ad for a new movie in the back of Fangoria, Amityville Glory Hole. You ooze, you lose. Coming soon.
Please tell me it's spelled Cumming.
No, it's not, which is a little disappointing.
Oh.
It's
Yeah,
Coming.
definitely a missed opportunity there.
Pick up the new issue of Fangoria, and you can see the ad yourself.
Yeah.
So
they were still implying coming as in ejaculating, but they were being classy about it. You can be sophisticated.
Yes.
But still have the same intent.
You know, I was like in 10th grade, and we had like our biology teacher was like teaching us, had like a week of sex ed. And we walk in the classroom one day, and she just has the word "cum" written on the board, like really big.
Like CUM?
Uh-huh.
What?
And we're all kind of
so
like,
awkward.
Not even like
giggling and stuff.
calling it
like,
ejaculate?
No, she just wrote "cum" on the board.
That's pretty funny. The weird thing is she didn't even talk about ejaculate. She just wanted to write "cum" on the board.
That was the
that's weird.
That was the lesson about fucking armpit hair, but she just wrote "cum" on the board. Okay. shop.fangoria.com/howimetyourmonster. Fill up your cart, t-shirts, subscriptions, hats, lunch boxes, all that stuff. I don't know if they have lunch boxes, but and enter promo code How I Met Your Monster at checkout for 20% off. Now that that's out of the way, we can talk about our second movie in our latest triple feature.
What is it?
Occupational Hazards Part 2. Casey, what did we watch?
All right, we are watching Last Shift from 2014, directed by Anthony DeBlasi. A rookie cop is tasked with taking the last shift at a police station before it's permanently closed, but it turns into a living nightmare.
See, now that is a accurate synopsis.
It is.
Yeah.
Rather than
Which we don't get a lot on this year's show.
No, a couple episodes ago in our dash cam episode,
Oh, yeah.
the synopsis that we found on IMDb was like, two people go for a joyride and their joyride turns into
Experience the craziest night of their life.
Yeah, experience the craziest night of their life.
Like MI6 agent Ethan Hunt embarks on his latest adventure yet. Dash cam.
Okay, so yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate on what this movie was about. What did you guys think of this movie?
Judges?
Casey, you recommended it. This was your pick. So what are your thoughts on this movie in general?
I like it.
Good talk, Danny.
That's what I think about it.
Yeah, that was a fun. I love the concept. Isolated horror, I think, is tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you're like kind of limiting to a single space and kind of building everything around that single concept, especially essentially with one character. So it is a feat unto itself. And I applaud them for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they clearly had a low budget for this, but they used whatever budget they had. I think they just used it all the right ways because they really made use of this single space, and the effects and the gags, I guess, were so effective. And I just thought that was great.
We'll get to it, but one of my favorite parts in the movie, one of my favorite sequences, actually really plays into I wouldn't say it plays into the low budget element, but it didn't need anything more than, scraps to pull off. And they did it really well, but we'll get to that later.
So this movie came out in 2014, and the director, Anthony DeBlasi, sorry, I shouldn't make fun of his name.
DeBlasi.
We're not making fun of it. It's
It's DeBlasi.
He's our guest on the show tonight, too.
Oh, hey, Anthony, we forgot to introduce you. Sorry.
Oh, shit.
No, it's okay. You pronounced it correctly. It's Anthony DeBlasi.
He recently kind of reimagined this movie into Malum, which recently came out this year. And the synopsis for Malum, let's see if it's any different. It says a rookie police officer willingly takes the last shift at a newly decommissioned police station in an attempt to uncover the mysterious connection between her father's death and a vicious cult. So yeah, pretty much the same.
Oh, interesting. Well, it seems like it says she does it willingly, as though to uncover.
Yeah.
Like she has a purpose.
Yeah, this kind of like she takes the job.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because of her dad. Like she wants to be a cop because of her dad.
Yeah.
But she didn't want to she didn't think she was going in there to find out what happened to him. Yeah.
Totally. Well, that's a fun angle to take.
Yeah.
I could see why. Because I've jumped down a few Reddit threads and message boards to see what people thought of the fact that the movies were, it's a remake from the same guy within just a few years. So I wanted to see what people's thoughts are. And I missed out on that whole element. So I feel like that alone kind of justifies it, to say like we had a low budget, and it's not necessarily just for the visuals, or like kind of what you can get away with the higher budget, but saying, oh, we actually had some maybe tighter ideas for the story that we want to explore, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Movies get remade all the time, especially in horror. Mm-hmm. So you may as well just do it yourself.
If you remember Funny Games, I think we did that. Like we covered that.
Danny wasn't on that episode. But...
a year ago or something.
But I have seen it.
Michael Haneke, I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
He did the same thing. He made it in like 96. Let me make sure I got that right.
And then 07.
97. He made it in 97, and then he remade it in 2007 with an American cast and all that stuff. And it was basically like shot for shot.
I was gonna say shot for shot.
He's kind of like not even he kind of didn't even like reimagine his. He just like redid it with new actors.
It's like I wonder what it would be like if Michael Pitt did this.
Yeah, but with Malum, it looks like he kind of took some, added some details,
creative liberties,
and expanded on it a little bit. But Casey, have you seen Malum? Did you watch Malum?
No, I haven't. I'm going to. I just kind of.
I was curious why you picked this one. No, I'm not curious. Like we pick things based on for different reasons, but then it made sense.
Yeah.
When there was such like a heavy focus on cults.
Yes.
And I was like, oh,
yeah,
there it is.
I like the end a lot too.
I was like, does Casey love police officers? Is this the angle?
I love police officers.
I was like, oh,
no, I just, I'm very picky about like paranormal movies and stuff like that. I don't really like very many of them. Mm-hmm. But I like all the stuff they did in this. I like that it's just, people, there's not like any crazy creatures that are being shown too much or anything like that. Mm-hmm. They've got the, all the different people.
Yeah, people make the world go round.
Yeah.
So,
well, since it's the cult, yeah.
With that being said, let's meet our monsters in Last Shift. Let's go on the last shift. Our last shift is starting. It is 10 o'clock.
Actually, it's our first shift.
Our first shift and the last shift.
First shift and the last shift.
The last shift at the precinct.
What if that's the title? They like really want to clarify. It's the last shift of the first shift, but it's her last shift. But it's the building's last shift. It's technically her last shift.
It's her first
of the first shift.
Yeah.
Classic horror.
Okay, so our monsters, I say we have 3 monsters. There could be just be one in John Michael Payman. But you could also count Kitty Catherine Knox and is it Dorothy? Dorothea. Dorthea.
Dorothea.
Zach, I'm not gonna lie, I missed all their names.
There was only like one. They said his name a lot, John Michael Payman. But the 2 girls, there was like one scene where they were like holding up their mugshot. They're taking their mugshots.
Well,
an
I
answer on
would
that.
go one step further into questioning who the monsters are in this movie because, and I don't know if this was a coincidence, but their last name was Payman.
Mm-hmm.
His
And
was.
There,
He was like
theirs
the
is
cult
too.
leader, and they were just
But
followers.
Payman is the demon. I thought that was the demon that they were worshiping, and Payman is the demon. Spoiler alert. Have you guys seen Hereditary?
Yeah.
I saw it once in the theater. Yeah.
It's
So that's the demon in Hereditary
right.
is Payman.
It's spelled differently.
And it is spelled differently. Okay. I was just curious if there was like some thread there.
I kind of tried to do some research on what Payman is, but it's like not really anything creepy.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So like I think it was made up for Hereditary or like not made up, but maybe embellished for Hereditary.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so our protagonist, Sergeant Cohen. No, Sergeant Cohen is the crazy fucking cop at the beginning.
Yeah, what's up with him? Why is he crazy?
I think he's just an old asshole.
I just remembered that.
Yeah, like he was like.
But what was the thing of like turn around and?
Yeah,
I don't know, because he is an old man who thinks that he's better than her, so he's gonna, assert his dominance.
But like when she walked in, he was like slamming stuff and yelling at people, and then he turned and he was like, "Turn around," and then she like walks away. He's like, "I didn't say walk away." Like, what's all that about?
I just said it.
No,
It seemed too specific. I thought that was going to be a twist at the end, and I was like, "Oh, he's in."
He's
on
slamming
this.
stuff, and she doesn't need to. He shouldn't be acting that way. And she walks in and sees him, so he gets mad.
But there was nobody there.
Well, why?
There was nobody there.
So
what's he pissed off about?
He can't be angry just because there's nobody there?
It did seem like he was yelling at someone.
Maybe he got a bad personal phone call.
I mean, I get mad when no one's around too.
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like everything in a movie, there's only so much stuff you could put in a movie that everything should have some kind of purpose.
Yeah.
Even if the purpose is to not serve a purpose, but you should at least.
Well, she ends up.
It just felt like a setup.
Yeah, I mean, look at how it ends. It starts out as him being this total asshole and treating her like shit, but she ends up shooting these innocent people.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, okay, Casey, to that point, it almost would have made sense if like he was on the phone with the people who were supposed to come and clean the building, and he's like pissed at them because like throughout the movie she keeps calling them. They're like, "We'll be there at 4. We'll be there. We're running late." Like maybe have him on the phone with them, being like, "Are you serious? You're still not here yet?" And then like, "Oh, what are the odds?" He ends up saving them in the end. Just something. I don't know. I needed a little bit of a through line or connection.
Didn't think that far into it.
Well, I wonder if it was just to throw you off because like, why did he need to be yelling? Anyways,
that's what I'm saying.
It was too weird, though. He just kind of comes out of left field screaming. And then, like, have you ever looked at someone and been like, "Turn around. Don't look at me. Don't walk away. Come here. Don't look." Like, what?
Stand on one foot.
People get mad.
We can move on.
I just
but
yes,
I don't know.
Thank you. I was going to say, I'm just a little bit upset that we are still talking about it.
I don't know. I'm upset it was in there.
Yeah, but for like the 2 minutes that it's in the movie, did it really make that much of a difference?
Well, exactly. If it was only in there for 2 minutes, why did it have to be there at all?
I don't know, like someone consciously wrote that down. They filmed it. That scene probably took
But you
the
could
whole
say
day.
that about
They
so
put money
many
on a low-budget movie.
You could say that about so many scenes from so many movies. I mean, was any of Dashcam necessary? No. But we got an hour and a half of it, Danny.
It's
a lot longer than 2 minutes.
I would argue, everything led to something. As batshit as it was, it all like served some sense of a purpose. But again, I will let it go.
Now that we've got Sergeant Cohen out of the way, we need to talk about Officer Lauren. Lauren.
Lauren.
Either way you say it, she's our protag.
Is she though?
Our protag. Oh. I mean, yeah, right?
I would say yes.
She ends up being a bad guy.
But I feel like it's.
I know it's still about her. I know.
She was just.
I don't think she was
lost.
I don't think she ended up being a bad guy. She did a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think
she's a tragic hero.
Because it wasn't like she did that on purpose. Like she thought it was those guys, like the demons and whatever, like fucked with her.
So you think she'd get off on insanity plea?
Well, she's probably dead.
Maybe not. He called a bus.
He called a bus?
That means ambulance. Gosh, you don't watch any Law and Order, do you?
No, I don't. I was like, where do they go? What field trip are they going on? She's dying.
They got on the bus from Basket Case 3.
Oh, God.
Is this the prequel?
No.
They got on the magic school bus.
The magic school bus.
Oh, here's a question. So she's eating, like her shift has started. She's there. She's eating her lunch, which you didn't see her bring in, but details, whatever. She pulls like a really long hair or string out of her mouth. What's that about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that.
Weird.
Great question.
Like it just happened. It's like another thing, like fucking Sergeant Cohen freaking out. Like, why is it there? You never come back to it.
But like, did you like this movie?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it.
Because there's a lot of stuff that's just in it to be weird. That's what a lot of it is. That's what I think.
So she pulls the string out of her mouth, and then the next thing she hears like banging from like all different areas of the station. Which I'll tell you guys right now, I had this sneaking suspicion that like it really wasn't a police station, and like everybody like that cop, like the guy on the phone who she kept calling and being like, this lady's calling. He's like, that's not possible. Like all the numbers are rerouted. Like I thought he was going to end up being someone like not who we thought he was. And like, it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, but that's what I thought for a while.
That's what I thought.
But that's a testament to the movie though. Like it does leave you it keeps you guessing throughout. Like I didn't know where this was going either. I didn't know if it was going to be supernatural or not.
Well, this is where we're first introduced to the homeless man who is there, who is very much like he is there to throw you off in all these different spots because he's just weird.
Yeah,
he had to pee. I mean, people pee. Like, what are you going to do?
Station?
Yeah, right. I mean, geez, we're in our 30s. If you haven't peed in a police station by now, like, what are you doing with your life?
Got to mark your T with your P, as they say.
Shut up. You've never been in a police station.
Me?
I get arrested like on the reg.
I've been in plenty of police stations.
Why?
They used to, the cops in Girard used to harass us all the time because we were like the BMX kids and they thought we were like doing all the shit around town. And so we've been in the police station.
So did you get scared straight?
No, we didn't do anything wrong. They were just like,
we didn't do anything wrong.
They were hoodlums.
I went to the police station once. I had to get my fingerprints because I was being a substitute teacher and you had to do that. And I remember I went in and the cop kind of like introduced himself to me and he had this very like, I was like, hey, I need to get my fingerprints. And he's like, all right, come on. What'd you do? What's going on? And I was like, oh, I'm going to be a substitute teacher. And his vibe, he was like, oh, hey, how you doing? Come on over here. And I was like, wait a minute.
You were treating me differently because you thought I was a criminal.
Bad cop, good cop in one person. Yeah.
Oh, hey.
I was so intimidated too. I was like, oh, man, I'm supposed to do this.
And then you like freaked out like John Rambo in First Blood. You're like, I need to get my fingerprints taken, and they start spraying you with a fire hose. and then the guy comes up to you with a knife, and he's like sharpening it on a thing, and he's like, don't move. I don't want you to cut your own throat. And you're like, ah.
This is all a commercial for like people being like teachers are underpaid.
You like break that guy's nose. Oh my god! When you're out in the woods, like trying to survive.
Is it Peter Dennehy? Is it Peter? No.
Pat.
No.
Pat Dennehy. Pat Dennehy.
Paul.
Is it Paul? What?
No. None of these
Hold
make sense.
on.
Mike Dennehy.
No, it's not blood. It's not blood. I typed first blood. It's not blood.
I'm pretty sure,
Jake,
I'm pretty sure it's Blood Dennehy.
Blood Dennehy.
Jake.
Brian.
Jake Dennehy.
Brian
Dennehy.
Brian Dennehy.
Yeah,
That's
he was
right.
He was
Ryan.
good.
Yeah, Brian.
Ryan.
Ryan with a B Dennehy. Tommy Boy's dad.
Tommy Boy's dad.
Big Tom.
Oh my God, Callahan.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to the movie.
Back to you, Brian.
What did you guys think about her leaving the boots out for the homeless man? Pretty nice,
That
right?
was sweet, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed that. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh, did you?
I must have not been paying attention. But now that I know she did that, I think that's a really kind gesture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it showed his blistered up feet, and then she went and set boots out on the steps.
Oh, that's right. Maybe I did. Maybe I just missed it for a second. That makes sense. Okay.
But then we get our first little creepy scene in the locker room where she finds the picture, which I thought it was like her and her dad, and then the way she was like reacting, I was like, oh, that's not them. But then later we find out that it was. Yeah, like she picks it up and I'm like, oh, that must be her and her dad, and then like her face like didn't really have a reaction, and so I was like, oh, maybe it's just a random picture.
Well, to that point, that's like the only issue that I have with this movie in general, which it's not against like her performance, because this is obviously how the director had her character for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
She's not reactionary really to anything. You know what I mean? Like all this creepy stuff is happening and she's just like, I don't think she screams until like the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, there were parts like jump scares where
that's
like.
That's a good point.
I will say that she starts to react like that, like later on, like you said, but throughout that first half, maybe a little bit more, I was like, why are you not like, I'm freaking out right now.
Like, especially there's that part where after she's in the room with the homeless guy and all that stuff happens and she's like gathering her composure or whatever, she's outside the door and she looks in the window and the light flashes on with those 3 people that are hanged in the cell. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, oh no, like
oh, weird.
Totally.
What? Yeah, like you would scream.
At that point, it's like you can still just like lock up and just stand outside and like call someone and be like, there's some crazy shit.
Her dad, though, she wants to prove that she can do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when she finally decides.
See, that's why I'm interested in seeing the remake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she like has a purpose.
Right.
You know, like she's driven to stay because she's trying to uncover something.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man, when she gets that call from her dad or whoever that was.
Yeah.
And she like can't leave. Like she's trying to leave, but she can't. And then like she shoots the door and like nothing happens. That was crazy. But then she talks to her dad, quote unquote dad, and she's like not done talking to him, and he's like gone. And she like says like dad like 3 or 4 times, and it was just heartbreaking. That's all. It's like
that's where I thought maybe she was like hallucinating, like drugged up, because they brought in the whole like cult element. I'm like, oh, maybe it isn't supernatural. And she's like, just like tripping right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, later you get the other cult member, the girl who like hits her in the head with the baton thing, a nightstick, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I thought she was like a ghost.
Nope. Yeah, there's a lot of
No, she like shot herself.
Yeah, she was there
but
because
I thought it was like a ghost shot.
No, it was the 1-year anniversary of them killing themselves, and she didn't get to do it with them, so she went there to make a statement and do it.
Oh, so she was being. Oh, see, that wasn't clear to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Maybe
stuff
that was
like
the point. Like it's supposed to be disorienting, but
it is, because you're not supposed to know if any of it's, you know what I mean? Because you're starting to feel the way that she's feeling.
Yeah,
not knowing what's real and what's not.
I almost would have liked more emphasis on like people showing up for the anniversary and also the supernatural element, just a smidge more to kind of add even to the the end, spoiler alert, when she kills the people, but ends up being not them.
You wanted like a supernatural assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that pitch.
What about that girl outside? Madeline? No, Marigold.
Oh,
Marigold.
Marigold?
What?
The prostitute?
Yeah, was she there just to tell the story of those people? Because then she leaves. I thought she was going to like come back and play another role in this movie, but
I assumed she was going to be bad, and she was just sort of like, checking the perimeter, seeing who was around.
Yeah,
before they broke in.
They plant a lot of seeds of suspicion in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Amount to nothing.
But I think like with her being there for being suspicious was one, and also to like tell us the story of them hanging themselves, which the guy does on the phone later. But I guess that just like reinforces it. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because she confirmed that it happened. Because remember on the news and stuff, they said that they all died at the scene.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yep. So this is where we meet our monster for the first time. When we get to the, I guess it's like an interrogation room. There's like a bunch of TVs, and then we kind of are taken into the TV when they're like on the TVs, and it's kind of creepy. And then we're kind of like in the room while they're going in. It's the camera's going around, and this is where we kind of meet our monsters.
Yeah, it's basically just like any stories you've heard about the like Manson family. It's just them talking about how they took joy in butchering these people.
Well, yeah. Well,
I mean, you're the expert on this.
The Payman family, they were kidnapping young women and, I don't know, sacrificing them maybe?
Yeah. What were they doing?
The Manson family, now, I don't think that Charles Manson ever meant for them to kill anybody. I think that he was just this crazy guy who wanted to fuck a lot of chicks and do a lot of drugs, and then somehow they ended up killing people. I mean, he didn't.
Didn't he order them to kill? Because they, in terms of like the Sharon Tate murders, he thought that other guy lived there. So it's kind of like a revenge killing, but framed as like a cultist, like this is a necessary kill, but really it wasn't. It was like
his idea was that they were going to start a race war, and that's why they wrote stuff like they were trying to make it look like the people who killed them were black by writing stuff on the walls.
Really?
And
so he wanted side of it at all.
He thought that they were going to start a race war, and then they would hide in Death Valley while everybody killed each other, essentially. And then they would come out and be the only white people left on Earth, and they would rule the world.
Oh my god. Psychopath.
So yeah, that's what I mean. He was just a fucking weirdo. I don't think that he actually ever meant for any of that to happen. I think that he just got in way too over his head. I think he was just a weird.
So there were no so it wasn't like a sacrificial thing. They weren't worshiping any demons or anything like that.
No, I mean they called him Jesus.
Okay.
Basically.
So if this is a story about Payman the demon that is depicted in Hereditary, in that one they do make sacrifices.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess no. Okay, so in Hereditary, Payman the demon is basically being reincarnated in a human body.
Yeah.
Because like, are they in this movie? They're not sacrificing to bring Payman to life, are they? Oh no, because at the end, the leader of the cult, is like has his teeth shaven down, like almost to kind of suggest that maybe he has become this demon. He's like the vessel for it. I mean, it is very supernatural. Yeah. They're literally like manipulating reality.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is kind of just like a different take on what Hereditary is doing.
Or you could say that Hereditary is a different take on what Last Shift is doing.
Or like Secondary Shift. Hereditary, that's what that's called.
Last Shift 2, First Shift again. Last Shift 2, Second Shift.
First Last Shift, Second Shift.
Well, it's kind of like, okay, so Rambo is First Blood. This one's Last Shift. And then the other one's going to be Payman, Last Shift Part 2.
Well, something has to be Second Shift. First, second, last.
Well, what I'm saying is there's First Blood, and then Rambo 2 is called Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Oh, I see.
So it would be
My
like
bad.
Last Shift.
And then John Payman.
Oh, that's his name.
Oh my God. Wait a minute.
John Rambo, John Payman.
Is this time?
It is time for the How I Met Your Monster conspiracy theory of the week.
Hit it.
Casey is so mad at us right now.
You're telling me that NASA is going to kill the President of the United States with an earthquake.
Not exactly the kind of thing a Secret Service agent can just throw himself on top of.
The whole Vietnam War was fought over a bet that Howard Hughes lost to Aristotle Onassis.
This is our third issue this year. Conspiracy theory.
So,
Yeah.
here we are developing this conspiracy theory for the first time. John Payman.
What is the conspiracy? John Payman is like the demonic equivalent of John Rambo. Is that what we're saying? What are we getting at here?
So John Rambo was a Vietnam vet who had extreme PTSD, and he was not helped after the war. Mm-hmm. And it got to it affected him. He needed some help, and he didn't have it. And then in part 2, they use him to go back to Vietnam to rescue POWs. Mm-hmm. And so John Payman was just your average everyday cult leader who didn't get the help he needed, right? And then he died.
Who also happened to share the same last name with the demon he would ultimately worship.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So in Last Shift, aka Payman Last Shift Part 2, they bring back John Payman, who he brings himself back, I guess, to go back to the cult and save the people who he didn't get to save or
why is he
kill
saving people?
Before he dies.
Wait, is he saving the people who worship him?
You guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's saving them because he needs them, not because he's virtuous or anything like that.
Right. He needs them. He's very
self-serving.
selfish. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
By the time we get to John Payman, which is part 5 or 6, he's returning to his farm.
Yeah, his cult farm.
Which is in California, which for some reason I'm connecting with the Manson family. Eventually they kind of thread together. Most cults just kind of become one and the same when it comes to conspiracy theories. So this checks out.
Yeah. 100%. John Rambo is in a cult.
Quentin Tarantino did a movie called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Which features the Manson family, which was inspired.
Was Quentin Tarantino
by the
really
Payman
making
family.
a movie about Payman and John Rambo?
And is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood essentially the ultimate prequel for Last Shift?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we cracked that conspiracy. We can check that off the... we don't need to make a YouTube video about that because...
I think crack
solved.
is the right word for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of us. We finally did a conspiracy theory that has no holes in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
It just checks out.
It's probably
no
our first one that's completely solid.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yep.
Great job, guys.
So
we did it.
Thank you. Okay, so what about I call it the poltergeist effect when
I wrote the same thing down.
She's looking in the room with the chairs, and then that was very cool. So are you guys aware of how they did that gag in Poltergeist?
Yes.
So listeners, if you are not aware, in Poltergeist, the scene we're referring to is the mom, I think, is in the kitchen and all the chairs are just there. And she turns and then turns back towards the table, and all the chairs are stacked up on top of each other like in a big pyramid. And what they did was, to get that effect with no like CG, they had people hiding like in everywhere on that scene. Like there was people in the cabinets, in the like the lower cabinets. There was people behind the corner. There was all these people, and they had a stacked chair like already made up, like with all the whole pyramid of chairs. And then when the camera turns, all the people like rush in and get out of the cabinets and grab the chairs that are there and take them away. And another team brings in the already built stack of chairs, and they get out before the camera comes back around. And I just thought that was really cool.
But what people also don't know about that scene is that wasn't even in the movie. These people were just hiding in the cabinets, and the camera just happened to turn. And then and Toby Hooper called cut. But then when they were in the editing room, they were like, we should keep this.
Yeah, I forgot that detail. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Actually, if you watch most movies, you'll see them. They take over most movie sets and will like
the people
do
in the
some,
cabinets,
like, kind of sneaky scenes. Like there's that scene in Silence of the Lambs. If you watch the scene when he attacks the security guards in the cage, in the background there's a giant stack of chairs.
Wait, are you fucking?
Yeah.
Oh.
Zach Gullible's written on the ceiling.
It was like so specific that you picked that scene, and like so bizarre that you picked that scene. And I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, so they're like in that scene, they're in like a gymnasium, and like there's like a cage, jail cell cage, and it was like, why wouldn't there be like a stack of chairs in the background?
It was just the first word that popped in my head. I was like, just go with it.
Let's talk about Officer Price.
Let's.
That's the Sixth Sense effect.
I literally wrote
effect.
Yeah.
Let me show where my dad keeps his guns.
In my notes. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of influences, like, and I don't mean this as like a diss. Like there were a lot of influences, like heavily placed in this movie, like Poltergeist, Sixth Sense. Later, there's Nightmare on Elm Street with the body bag scene. It's done differently, obviously, but it's the whole like the
That's
idea
my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
There was I could tell you another kind of influenced scene that I thought was Hellraiser and the Cenobites. When she's in the cell and she's seeing like the three people who killed themselves on like the sheet, and then like they come out of it and he's like they're like in the cell. When they show the close-ups on each of them, they look kind of like the way that Clive Barker revealed the Cenobites in Hellraiser.
Oh, that's
like,
a great, yeah.
They just like sit on them, and like they're kind of slimy in this, and they're just like standing there, and then the camera just stays on them for a second, and then
it's funny because I was thinking of Silent Hill, but I feel like Silent Hill is probably inspired by Hellraiser. So that makes sense. Yeah, it's funny. I made a note. So you said it was Officer Price was his name?
Yeah.
The cop?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a note as I'm like writing down. I'm like, so he starts telling the story about the dad, and they're having like this like kind of cute moment. It's almost feels like a meet cute in a way. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, of the two cops who died, one of them was your dad. And I'm like, is he the second cop who died? And I literally have that in my notes. And then my next note was just, yes. I was like, oh, they tell you right then and there.
Yeah, I feel like
I thought that was good.
Maybe I missed it the first time I watched this movie, but I thought the first time I watched this movie that he just disappeared. I didn't remember him turning around and like revealing a bullet wound, an exit wound or anything like that. I just remember her like turning to the coffee pot and then turning around and he was gone. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if there's a different version or if I just forgot. But
I guess it could have been effective either way, depending on how they kind of, because later the next time you see him is when the blood's spilling out of he shoots himself in the mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you ever notice like in a movie when there's like going to be an effect shot and like you can tell because like it changes a little bit, but like not a whole lot, but
it's like in a cartoon when you see that one object is like a little off shade,
thing that's colored
like, that's
a little bit.
Door. Push on
that. I kind of got that with this scene. Like I didn't realize that it was going to be him turning to have like a big bullet hole in the back of his head. But he was like looking at her, talking, and then they cut away and they cut back to him. And it's just a slightly different angle. And it's got like this weird kind of feel to it. I don't know. And I was like, okay, something's going to happen here. I don't know what it is, but something's going to happen.
Like there's a different energy when they were shooting this scene.
Yeah. But then when he turned, I was like, pun, I guess, sort of intended. I was blown away when he turns and you see like the fucking bullet hole in his back. I was like, oh my God.
That was really cool.
And the sound design in this was really good. Like when she's in the hallway and she's like, she sees all those like, or she doesn't see the ghosts, but she like hears all this commotion and the camera's going like right past her and right the other way and this and that. And that's all. That's all I got. Sounds good.
Oh, I mean, the next thing is the Nightmare on Elm Street body bag dragging scene.
So good.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the first bit of that where the body was being dragged across and then like it stood up and started like fucking tap dancing or something. Yeah. I was like,
it was trying to walk.
Oh,
well, ghosts always have such like good editing skills. They know how to like kind of like be a little choppy and like move around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a skill.
And do all ghosts make that noise where they're like,
yeah, they all have bones.
He was trying to get his bearings, you know? It's been a while since he's walked.
It's a fair point.
That's true.
It's a fair point.
That part gives me the heebie-jeebies, I'm not gonna lie.
It is creepy.
Dude, you want to know what part fucking gave me the heebie-jeebies?
What part?
I mean, like lots of parts in this movie, but you want to know what part made me fucking jump?
What part?
When that goddamn girl is under the desk. And oh my God.
With her face
like the phone is all like ringing off the hook, literally. And like everything on the desk is like moving. And then like she backs up and just at the bottom of the frame, like it's not even like, I think that's what makes it so scary to me is that like, it wasn't like a different shot. It was just like pulled out. And then like down at the bottom, you see this like head with like, that's all mangled. And it just,
so I have a question.
Yeah.
Is she supposed to be part of the cult or is she one of the victims? Because earlier
she was the one that kept calling.
Monica Young.
Was it the ghost of a cultist who was calling to pretend she was a victim? Or was it actually a victim? Because one of the cultists in the interrogation scene, she talks about how she bashed a girl's face in and how her teeth were all like messed up.
That was her.
So that was okay.
That was the girl she was talking about.
Okay. I didn't know if I was just seeing that because I wanted to, because I was making a connection, or if it actually was that.
Well, yeah, because when she's talking to the guy in their line, he's like, Monica Young is dead. Like she was found like beaten by a baseball bat.
Okay. So I'm just being an idiot. Okay.
I wouldn't be that hard on yourself, Danny.
Forward. At around the 57 minute mark, when
I definitely wrote down everything that happened at every minute.
You guys don't remember it by minutes and seconds? Listeners, if you are watching this right now, or if you have access to it, go to around the 56. We'll start at the 56 mark because it's probably a little later. It's when, who's our main character? What's her name?
Chester.
Officer Lauren.
Officer Chester.
Jessica Lauren. What?
Jessica Rabbit.
Sophia Loren. All right. So Sophia Loren goes outside. There you go. And we're kind of just like, the camera's just holding on the static shot of the glass door. And it seemed very deliberate, but it could have just been the static shot just to kind of build, suspense and whatnot. But I could have sworn that if you look closely enough, you can actually see a face in the door, but the face is made out of kind of like smudges and lights and things like that.
Well, did you see the breath on the door?
Oh, no. So this is like, it's a guaranteed a face.
I will tell you that I did not notice a face on the door, but clearly there's like a breath of like that, like fogs up the glass and then it goes away.
I missed that. God damn it. So guys, at 57 mark, I just want to let you know that the face you saw is there. I'm just confirming it. Just that.
So actually, One thing that I noticed, and this may not have been deliberate, but when Officer Price comes to the door, you know how he's like standing outside and they're talking for like 3 minutes, and he's like on the outside, she's still on the inside, but through the dirty like door glass, it makes him look like a ghost.
Oh, that's interesting.
Kind of like some
I
foreshadowing.
didn't notice it. Now I want to go back and watch.
I thought when they were at that scene and like I didn't really know what the movie was going to turn out to be, I was like, oh my god, like is he a vampire? Does she have to like invite him in?
Oh.
He like comes in. I was like,
oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all these things that you were thinking. Even the first time I watched this, I didn't think about anything. I have nothing in my brain. Yeah, I was just like,
Oh, this is around the time when she calls the cop at the station. She gets in touch with them, and he finally admits, like, yeah, we kind of had a feeling this place is haunted. That's why we're moving.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that moment. That was a great, fun reveal. Like, it validates everything.
Oh, so now going back to our very first scene with Sergeant Cohen, right?
Oh, I already know where you're going with this.
Maybe he was like these like the things that were like banging and the stuff that was like maybe that was just like happened like all the time, and he was like, look, dude, shut the fuck up.
Some physical human being didn't have to be there to make him angry.
So he's actually having a ghostly encounter. And maybe he's in a fit of like, oh, how do I deal with this? Like, turn around.
Maybe he doesn't know if she's real, but maybe he doesn't know if she's real.
Because what does he say? Does he say turn around or don't look at me?
He says turn around.
He says both.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought he said both. Okay, and then she starts walking and he says, I didn't say to walk. So he's trying to make sure she's a real person.
Oh, see, I saw it. I like that. I saw it as like, I don't want to scare her off.
Look at that.
So I don't even want her to see like shit banging around yet until I'm out of here, and she's just gonna have to deal with it on her own.
Oh, okay, that's cool too.
You know,
that's
like,
cool too.
That's cool
I don't want to explain it.
Well, look at that.
Both are very good.
Your least favorite part of the movie. Explained.
Yeah, it really was. Oh, see. Guys, this is why you got to watch all of the movie when you sit down for a movie.
I will say that when her radio started oozing, all I could think about was Spaceballs.
There you go. Another one.
They're jamming our radar, sir.
Oh, jam. I haven't watched it, but I know you've talked about that part before.
Rick Moranis or Darth Helmet comes by and he tastes it and he goes, raspberry, Lone Star. So right before the big climax of this movie, I guess it leads into the climax, we see our monsters or monster and accomplices really, I guess, come to life. I guess they're there. Well, no, she's just crazy. They're like making her see things. So they're not really there, but they're there to her. And they're like hanging themselves or like putting the bags on top of their heads. Oh my God, they like bit their hand to like make it bleed and then like drew the pentagram on their hood. Yeah. Anyways, but then they like, she's like sugar, but she's like watching this like in like almost like a movie that's playing on a projector screen. But then they're like really there, and again, I say like really there with air quotes. Yeah. But yeah, he's got his sharp teeth like Dee Snider from Twisted Sister.
He sharpened his teeth.
Who?
Dee Snider?
Yeah. What? Dee Snider did that.
He was he did a morning radio show that we would listen to in the morning. He was in Connecticut. Really? Dee Snider in the radio in the morning or whatever. Radio 104.
That's cool. But this guy, our monster, John Michael Payman, had like almost like too many teeth. You know, he had like a shark mouth.
Yeah, there is such a thing as too many teeth.
Yeah. Yeah. They were all like really tiny and like little.
Well, maybe that was the demon coming through. Maybe it was like a hybrid, human-demon hybrid, because he was like taking the human form.
Oh.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Because he didn't have those teeth in real life, like in the in like the interrogation stuff that they talked about. So maybe that was like Payman coming to life. Oh man, I don't know. I can't wait for fucking Payman Last Shift Part 2 so we can learn some of this stuff. Maybe they explained more of it in Malum. I'm interested to see that.
I know now I'm like really curious to watch it.
Mm-hmm. But okay, the ending of this movie was crazy. I did not see that coming. She sees the intruders coming in, trying to like, the dad even says like they're coming. Like she gets another call and the dad's like, they're coming for you. Like, get ready. And these people come in and she ends up shooting them all.
She blasts them.
Which I couldn't tell at first if they were ghosts or not, because she fired like a lot of shots towards those people and didn't hit any of them at first. And I was like, wait a second, are they even real?
Can I say something? This is where it reminded me. I was like, there's something about this movie that felt like something. And I couldn't quite put my finger on what that something was. And then it finally hit me. It kind of, and this is not a diss. I'm not like, this isn't a negative comment. It feels almost like a video game where like you're almost like Resident Evil. You're stuck on a level where like you cannot leave and things keep coming out and you're like interacting and like, you're like, why isn't she just leaving? Or like, why is she going into that room? Or like, you can easily cut off that demon by closing the door and like going down the hallway. And then things come in and you can fire shots and you miss them. And, you know, new enemies kind of just like, there's something about it that as I was watching it, I felt like I was playing one of those isolated horror video games.
Yeah. Well, even the way they shot it, like it was almost like a third person shooter, because
100%.
she was like, it was almost was like a Resident Evil game, because we were like following her and she was just like to the side of the camera.
Maybe subconsciously that's where my brain was like, so
Interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But we find out that all these people that she's shooting, well, we know because Sergeant Cohen comes back and shoots her. And you're like, what the fuck? Turns out she wasn't shooting these cult members. She was shooting the like cleaning crew that was supposed to be there.
Who, to be fair,
so
was rude on the phone.
Very rude.
So,
yeah. And that's where we kind of realized that all this stuff was like in her head, but then like they were there. So I almost don't think it was in her head. I think it was really happening, but they were just like manipulating everything.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean?
What movie am I thinking of, you guys?
Princess Diaries.
Oh my God. Exactly.
Probably Spaceballs.
No, there's the scene where,
oh my
God, it's right in the tip of my tongue.
That was then. This is now.
Where someone is like going to kill someone. Oh my God. It's Batman Begins. It's at the end of Batman Begins when the whole city gets gassed and they're hallucinating. And you see someone like looking as though like they're just normal. They're actually scared, but they kind of, their faces morph and they become like monstrous, which makes them like a target. So you want to attack them.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's talk about the reveals in Last Shift.
What's going on here?
I don't see anything anywhere.
That's how they get you. They're under the goddamn ground.
Okay, so here are the few, well, it's not few, it's quite a few reveals I have.
Here's a few of the lists of the reveals.
Here's a few of the lists that I have for the reveals in the Last Shift. The monster face in the window of the cell. The two monsters in the cell, which we find out are like the two accomplices. The interrogation tapes, which is probably the reveal. Well, maybe, I don't know. The dead people that are spinning in the chairs when she's like, they're like, the chairs are spinning.
They were just horsing around at that point.
They were horsing around.
I was like, easy.
The ghosts in the hallway, which is like, we don't see them, but she hears things that are going in, like the things are whizzing by and all that.
Mm-hmm. You know who else was whizzing by? That guy who shows up at the police station.
Yeah, whizzing. He sure was whizzing.
Whizzing
he was
by.
Cheese whizzing.
Cheese whiz.
The dead guy pulling himself up, Nightmare on Elm Street style. Mm-hmm. We've got the hanging trio in the cell with the homeless man.
Oh, I love that book.
The girl crawling behind her, which we find out later is Monica Young, crawling behind her down the hallway, and then she turns and there's somebody there. Which is this my next reveal is her under the desk, which
I think we know your favorite.
The trio coming to life in the cell.
Like metaphorically or physically? Like they just felt alive? I was like,
I feel like alive in this cell. I feel God in this Chili's
spiritualism.
And then when he kind of like jumps out at her, he almost like lunges towards the camera. Booga booga. And that's what I got. What is your favorite? You guys know my favorite.
My favorite is the body bag-ish part.
It's pretty good.
Okay. The Nightmare on Elm Street reference. Yeah.
Yeah, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Mine was one we actually didn't touch on, which I was very surprised by because I thought it was the single most effective moment in the movie is when she's in the cell. She brings the guy in the cell. She locks him up and he takes the flashlight from her. And she's like, give me that flashlight back. And he points the flashlight at her. And she's like, all right, enough of that. Like, I'm going to, I have a gun or a taser. Like, I'm going to attack you if you don't give it back to me. And then the flashlight moves and points at the guy on the floor, which is like telling us he is not holding the flashlight. Someone else is holding the flashlight. And I was like, ooh, that's freaky.
Ooh. Who's in there? Ooh.
One thing I didn't mention is when she is like, she sees the homeless man in the thing in the hallway and she's like, get on your knees. And she's like, put your hands behind your back. And then like the camera tilts up to like look on the hallway and then looks back down and his head is like turned around and it's all like his eyes are all weird.
Bulged out.
Bulged out. Yeah. But my favorite reveal is definitely Monica Young under the desk, which I mean, I guess she's a victim, but still she's kind of monstrous.
She's
the product of a monster.
Yeah.
Well, now it's time for a segment that we like to call The Real Monster.
Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
You're a monster.
I'm not the monster here. You are. You and the rest of that fairy tale trash poisoning my perfect world. Now tell me, where are the others?
Eat me.
All right. What do you guys have? Casey, who is your real monster for Last Shift, Rambo Part 3?
It is not who. It is not who. It is what.
Mm-hmm.
I am very weird about food. I think you guys know that by now. That girl had mayonnaise on her lips, and I hate mayonnaise.
Casey, I love you. I didn't put that in this, but earlier, I shit you not, I wrote, this is the bullet point. It just says, string in her food, and then in bold, real monster, food on her lips.
Yeah. Because I didn't care about the hair or the string or whatever that she was pulling out of her mouth. I was just upset about the mayonnaise on her lips.
Disgusting.
I hate mayonnaise.
Ugh, I hate mayonnaise. I hate food
the
on
real
your
monster
lips.
Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
food
you
on your lips. Mayonnaise on your lips.
You got mayonnaise on your lips. What are you doing? Wipe it off.
Get the mayonnaise off your lips. Like a mayonnaise mouth.
Good Lord.
My real monster is not mayonnaise because I fucking love mayonnaise.
I bet you put it on your hot dogs, you freak.
Ew, now I'm going to try that, though.
Ew, hot dog mayonnaise. Gross.
Am I missing something? Was the bathroom in this movie, like, just destroyed?
Destroyed,
Did she go
but
into the
not
bathroom
with,
at some-
like, poopy and pee-pee.
It was, like, black stuff, right?
Yeah, and white stuff. It was, like, Oreo cream and cookie.
Ew.
Like, soggy Oreos were just, like, splattered all over the place.
Ugh, gross. So that's one of my real monsters, probably my number one real monster. But I also had the cleaning crew, who ended up getting shot, and maybe they deserved it. That's mean. I shouldn't have said that.
Victim blaming.
But he was like so mean to her on the phone. And
wait, I'm so glad you said that, because clearly when they were shooting that, she was not talking to anyone. It wasn't like someone's off screen talking and she's responding. She's just saying lines, because at one point he basically says, "Go fuck yourself, lady," and she's like, "See you later, Joe." And I like started laughing so hard because I was like, "Wait, what? Don't say that!" Like, you're like chummy with him now. Like, he's being such an asshole.
See you later,
like,
Joe.
God, stop fucking bothering me. She's like,
"Love you too."
Bye,
love
bud.
you too. Bye.
Say hi to your mother for me.
It's like when they're
Say
in a
hello
movie,
to your
like
mother
the
for me.
person hangs up, but then the other person on the phone doesn't want the other person to know they hung up, so they like keep talking. Like, "Oh no, you hang up.
Oh.
No, you hang up."
Like
we know they hung up a while
this is
ago.
so awkward. It's like I know she's talking to a hallucination.
Danny, what is your real monster?
Fluorescent lights.
Ooh,
They're just not.
Yep.
What's the word? What's the word?
Flattering?
Flattering. They're not flattering. They're just uncomfortable, and I guess
They're
in a
also
horror
not
movie,
calming either.
They're not
Right.
calming. I just don't understand the choice in general. Like, they're in like big supermarkets
You mean like
and stuff.
movies? I was gonna say movies
Yeah.
aside, just being
Just
in a place with
generally,
fluorescent
like,
lights.
I don't need
Get
fluorescent lights.
rid of them.
If I'm going to Target, I'm there already. You don't need to like shine ridiculously bright lights on products as though like that is what's drawing my attention to them. No, it's actually making me want to leave.
It probably helps.
Like, give me a nice soft light. I know where I am. I'm gonna buy something. You don't have to like manipulate me with this physical like eye strain.
Yeah, you're right. Like, Target needs to tone down the lighting,
Give me, like,
and
a
then
warm,
they would probably
cozy-
sell more stuff.
Yeah.
Not that Target needs to sell more stuff, but I'm sure they sell a lot. But I bet you if they toned down the lighting, it would. Yeah.
Do you think it's because they're trying to sell
I
more
do like
fluorescent
Target, though.
lights and they can't do it because no one likes them? So, like, well, if we have fluorescent lights, maybe that will encourage people to buy them themselves.
That doesn't make any sense.
Is it a marketing ploy? Hey, hey, I'm not here to understand it. I'm just here to tell you how this world works.
Well, thank you, Daddy. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
that.
And this has been fluorescent. The fluorescent flight with Flanny.
With
I don't know.
Danny-
Danny doesn't start with an F, so
Danny
with
Florani.
flamboyant Danny. Great bit, Danny. It really landed.
Do you guys have anything else to add about Last Shift or Payman Last Shift Part 2?
Not necessarily. I
Payment
really just
3?
want to watch Hereditary now to see how they. And now I want to
That's good.
I'm going to write a whole book on it. I'm going to read something on Payment to
You're gonna write
understand,
a floppy book, a magazine.
yeah, a nice like semi-hard floppy-ish book on Payment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Nice.
just
All right.
hard enough.
Just hard
Well-
enough to work for it to work.
It gets the job done.
Okay, well then that is it. That's all we have for the Last Shift, or just Last Shift. So, Danny, what is the last movie in our occupational hazard triple feature?
The last movie that we will be watching in this triple feature is the 1961 film The Innocents, which is based on the novel by Henry James. The novel is not The Innocents. The novel is The Turn of the Screw.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
which was co-written or co-adapted, I should say, by the famous writer Truman Capote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who was played by Philip Seymour Hoffman and Toby Jones, who just starred in Dial of Destiny, which we just saw recently.
He was good in that. He was good in that. I am excited to watch The Innocents because I have not seen that one before. And listeners, you should also be excited to see The Innocents and listen to our episode on The Innocents. Innocence. But I'm not going to tell you what to be excited about. That is up to you. I will just throw that out there. But until then, find us on social media, on all the social medias at How I Met Your Monster, except Twitter. You got to go to I Met Your Monster, which is okay. That's fine. But How I Met Your Monster, where can our listeners find you two on social media?
On Instagram at Wolfmother Casey.
Fair enough. Danny.
Mine's been changing. I mean, guys, the social media landscape has been evolving or maybe imploding. Because I was on Twitter, but I'm still on Twitter, but I don't really use Twitter anymore because now I'm using Threads. So I'm on Threads. Maybe that's not even going to be relevant by the time this episode drops. But there's Instagram and Letterboxd. Letterboxd is the one that I really care about. So follow me on Letterboxd. I would love to talk about movies, see your reviews, share mine, and anything movie related is best, and Letterboxd is movie related. You can find me at Danny Salem. It's just my name, Danny, DANNY SALEMME, 2 M's like the candy. Melt in your butt, not in your hand.
Wonderful. And you can find me on social media at Zach Winsick. And until next episode, thank you all for listening. Now go meet some monsters.